LSU's recent recruiting surge includes Tristen Keys, Jabari Mack, and Dylan Porter. Are the Tigers trending for the number one class in the country? And even though there's been some hand-wringing over Alabama's recruiting, not so fast. All of that and more here on the Portal Podcast.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime recruiting analyst and writer. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Recruiting is a marathon, not a sprint. If you take nothing else from this podcast away, note that. Even so, LSU is doing a sprinter stance and a long distance run all at the same time here because they are out in front of it. They're one of the teams that I thought originally would have a chance at the number one class this year back in January when it was really, really early. But that's because they do so well historically with in-state recruiting, and even by Louisiana standards, this is a special class within the Bayou State. That's gone to fruition. And let me give you a little overview. Tristen Keys committed this past week out of Hattiesburg High School in Mississippi. You had players like that from neighboring states, and they got Jabari Mack out of New Orleans. That's a kid, Destrehan. That's a really good program historically for LSU. I saw him at Under Armour recently, and they don't even have a quarterback committed yet, and they still have, by Rivals.com, the number 3 class in the country. So I'm going to go ahead and present that on my screen for those of you that are on YouTube. And we'll also talk a little bit about what they got coming up in terms of their official visits, because it's pretty impressive as well. LSU, they're not just doing well here. They are, again, keeping guys at home that they should. Jabari Mack, for instance, Destrehan is about as lock, stock, and barrel kids are going to go to LSU as it's going to get. It's on the north edge of New Orleans, and it's a great program. I've lost track of how many guys they've had go there and do well, a certain receiver for the Minnesota Vikings in particular. But long term, it's about keeping guys at home. They've done a great job with it, especially the New Orleans kids. That city, when they lock it down, it's hard for them not to finish in the top 10 without really doing much else. And this year, in my opinion, the number one defensive tackle on my board, because I've seen him live, is Richard Anderson, 356 pounds. He's a dancing bear. That guy can rush the passer from the interior. It is going to be very difficult to slow down LSU's defense in the future. Just having him in there, that's automatically, if you're not double teaming him, good luck to you. We'll see how that goes. But again, Tristen Keys just committed. Jabari Mack just committed. And a very underrated Dylan Porter just committed. That kid's out of Booker T. Washington. He was just about 15 minutes or so from Auburn. It's ironic. So they go into the state of Alabama and get another guy. And overall, you just look at the list, like, it's really loaded. I think that they get the Briston Martinez kid, the best offensive lineman arguably in the state this year, depending on how you want to rank it. But he's certainly in that conversation. You're keeping everybody home, and now you're starting to cherry pick. If you want to look at LSU's group of players in regards to, okay, well, what do they have with official visits? You could argue it's even better. That's kind of scary. Before I started this podcast, I asked myself, well, which one of these guys do I want to feature? There's really no way to do it. It's insane how good it is. A couple of notes up front, though, like Xavier McDonald and Darius Gray. Those are guys that are elite players that are coming for OBs from out of state. And again, they're going to dominate the Bayou State. If they add those guys, and right now I think they lead for Gray, if I had to pick, and McDonald told me to my face that he's an LSU fan, he's got an OB set up. These are top 100 kids conservatively. You're adding those kind of players. There's only one real question that I have. One question. Does LSU end up getting a top-level quarterback? It's amazing they got 4 commitments at receiver right now without a quarterback. Usually those two things go hand in hand. You get the QB, you might have like 1 receiver committed. They've got 4. If they get a quarterback to go with what they're building with the rest of the offense, this class really does have a chance to finish number one. So let's go over a few of the guys that they have lined up for OVs, because I think it's important just to put it in perspective. And to be honest with you, you never know. Some of these dates might change, but that being the status is fine. The dates may change, but overall, here's what you need to know about LSU in terms of their ability to bring in big-time players. It's pretty awesome. Lamar Brown, University Lab, if you follow LSU at all, that's an elite recruit. Miami, Florida State, LSU, Texas A&M. Depends on who you want to talk to, on who's the top school there. He could go to any of those four, but great kid. He's going to play defensive line. They got to keep him home. Blaine Bradford, he's going to visit Texas. He's going to visit Ohio State and LSU. He told me that at Under Armour in New Orleans. Great kid. I don't think he really knows where he's going to go, but that is a tremendous prospect. Then Ethan Booby Feaster, the kid that's class of 26, that is not just a really good player, but this is a guy that understands his craft. And he wasn't originally class of 26. He was 27. He would have been the number one player in that class, but he ends up now sliding down to this class, and he's got a visit lined up. Again, they've got 4 guys committed already at receiver, and they still got Feaster lined up for an OB as well. It's just amazing. J. Raylan McCoy is also set to visit. He was committed. Some think he's going to end up at Ole Miss, and it seems to be he could possibly do that. But if he gets back on campus, maybe LSU gets over the top there. You don't know. Then you're looking down the list, and they still have more guys that are big-time recruits all over the place. They're still trying to get the defensive lineman, Seven Cloud, out of Butler Community College in Kansas. He's the number 1 junior college player. He's committed to Georgia. We'll see if they can flip him. They even have Elbert Hill, one of the top players in the Midwest, in a corner from Northern Ohio, lined up for an OB. Just overall, LSU's group of visits, combined with what they have right now in regards to a commitment list, you could argue this is the school that's most likely to trend for the number 1 class in the country. When we come back, we're going to talk about Alabama. There's been some hand-wringing. I was a little concerned, but I'm not as much now. I'm going to explain why. I'm going to give a prediction on Alabama, plus Ole Miss and Texas A&M. Daylight savings has snuck up on us again, and if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5-Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through your day. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. For me, I know I like watching the basketball tournament, staying up a little later than I probably should, and it's a good idea to find a different way to get going in the morning than just relying on yourself, especially if you're me. So 5-Hour Energy can be that pick-me-up for you. Make sure you pick it up at your local convenience store, your grocery store. There's places to get it all over. Plus, you can order it offline very easily. Just head over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. They got watermelon, blue raspberry, and many more. You can even build your own 12 or 24 pack. If you need one now, again, you can find one at your local grocery or convenience store. They are everywhere. Stock up and stay energized with 5-Hour Energy. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game in person. Getting tickets shouldn't be stressful either. That's where the Game Time app comes in, making it easier than ever to grab last-minute tickets at unbeatable prices. Game Time Picks. Here's something you should know about the app, and the app's super easy to use anyway, but it's just a tab inside there. You click on it, it will reduce the number of prices and ticket options to the best ones available. Its curation makes it a lot easier for you, whether you want to go to a sporting event like football, a basketball tournament, whether you want to go comedy, you want to see a theater, whatever it is, you need to check out Game Time. Finally, this is my personal favorite thing about the Game Time app. You can see your seat. Click on it. It'll show you the venue, whether it's to the stage, the football field, or whatever it is. You can see it right there on the app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Alabama is a program that has such high expectations. If there's not something elite happening all the time, even myself, sometimes you can get a little overzealous and think, okay, what's going on? There are problems with not having more commitments sometimes. But if you look at the history, even under Saban, there were many years that the Crimson Tide didn't blast out of the gate in recruiting. As I noted at the opening, and I'm noting again now, recruiting is a marathon. It is not a sprint. The Crimson Tide just had a bunch of kids on campus, Mississippi, Texas, etc., and they were really good players. They're setting the foundation for their official visits, and they've got a bunch of really good ones. But I just want to give an overview before I dive into it. If they can get just a handful or more of the kids in state, they didn't do as well in state last year as they should have. If they can win more of those battles, they'll be in a good position. But first off, here's the key to look at their class now and where it's going to be. They've got 3 guys committed. They need to keep them committed. Zion Gibson, can they keep him from Gadsden City, Alabama? He's probably going to take visits. That's a kid you need. He's a really good football player. He did really well at the Under Armour event. Let's see where he goes. And then this is so hard because I know where he's from and everything. But if you look at Jamarian Matthews, he's committed, and now he's playing at Gainesville High School, a little bit northeast of Atlanta, maybe 30 minutes. There's going to be schools all over the country trying to get him, and he's got Florida State, he's got Clemson. Let's see where he goes for his visits officially, because it says Penn State has got a visit too. I looked these up. Does he take those? I'd be a little concerned about that. On the other side, and this is why I still think Alabama recruiting is trending up more than people think, that junior day. You need to go through and look at the list. There's a million articles because it's Alabama, but they had Nolan Wilson on campus. Jordan Edmonds is a guy they still think they're going to get. I think he's the best corner in the country. If I could just pick one, I would take Jordan Edmonds over anybody. He's out of Atlanta. Great kid, by the way. Length, was dominant at Under Armour Atlanta. You get a kid like that, it can change your defense like that, just boom, because he can take away the opponent's best receiver. He's not good. He is elite. Alabama has been favored to get him for a while. Tennessee, Georgia, and this, the usual suspects. You got a recent offer from Notre Dame. He can pick anybody. If he called Ohio State right now, I would doubt they'd say no. The point is still the same. Bama's the team to beat. All of that still leads into the following. If they do well the rest of spring at getting kids on campus, and this is the same for every school, just easier at Bama, you're going to see their official visit list be as good or even better maybe than LSU's. That's a pretty high mark. Right now, I'd take LSU situation over anybody's. They just got to finalize like everybody else. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But Bama's not that far off. They could take a jump in April once they have their spring game and all that and get some more commitments. The only thing I will say for those that are really concerned about Bama, and this is justifiable, if by mid-April, Bama doesn't add a few more players and there isn't a better perspective, especially with in-state recruiting, they should do better this year, then I would be concerned. But right now, I don't see how they don't finish in the top 10 in recruiting because they have so many kids they've had on campus, not just in-state, but again, Texas, Mississippi, kids like Nolan Wilson. He's got a Bama visit on May 30th. He's a big-time defensive lineman. They need those kind of guys in the South, those defensive linemen. I've talked about this before with Bama. They should be able to get some of them. Let's see what happens over the next, let's say, 20 to 30 days. If they don't get a commitment or two or line up a few more OBs with some elite players, especially like D-line, corner, maybe Jordan Edmonds pops, then we can have a more serious conversation about Bama's class completely falling off. But right now, I think they're in a better spot than most people think. To finalize this podcast, I want to talk about 2 more SEC schools, Ole Miss and Texas A&M. They're both in unusual spots compared to where I thought I missed. Open-endedly, I admit I missed where I thought they were going to start and where they are now. Ole Miss only has 3 commitments. They did get a recent commit from a pretty good player out of the state of Alabama. We'll talk about that in a second, but they have 3 guys committed. 2 are receivers and 1's a running back. Historically, for Ole Miss, when they are up, just like any other SEC program, you could even use Bama or Georgia for this, they're doing a little bit better than the most of the programs in the SEC, if not like 80%, O-line, D-line recruiting. Not having a commitment from an O-lineman or a D-lineman concerns me. And this is a great year, not a good, a great year for talent in the state of Mississippi again. Now, I think they're prioritizing in-state, and they're playing the long game. Here's that statement again. Recruiting is a marathon, not a sprint. But much like Alabama, I need to see Kiffin do something in regards to get a couple more commitments between now and the end of spring game. That'll probably happen, but I just want to see it for clarification because I know they're putting in effort. They've got a good staff there to recruit. That's not in question. So what is the deal? Why is it that the Rebels aren't getting more guys committed? And to be honest with you, I really don't know what it is because that's a staff that has put in the time. And like they just got JaMychal Jones out of Pike Road, just outside of Montgomery, one of the best programs in the state of Alabama, and he's a good running back. But why haven't more guys, especially in the trenches, committed to Ole Miss? This is something I'm going to follow, and I think fans in the SEC in general, not just Rebels fans, should follow. If Kiffin gets linemen, you know he can do all kinds of stuff with the skill guys and quarterbacks. They are tough to beat, and they've recruited better in the trenches the last couple of years. They need to finalize this year. Again, I just talked about Nolan Wilson with Alabama. They need to get some of those guys back up to campus, make sure they get them committed. If they do, I think Ole Miss becomes a national top 10 program consistently. They're on that cusp, but this is a really important class for them. Finally, A&M. Just want to bring this up in general. It's so weird how recruiting trends go. When I was growing up, A&M recruited almost exclusively in the Lone Star State. They didn't need to leave Texas much. They might get a kid from Shreveport, or maybe a kid from Baton Rouge or New Orleans or something, or maybe a kid from Oklahoma. But overall, A&M, 90+% of their kids are from Texas, and who can blame them? That's a great state to get recruits from. Well, Jonathan Hatton just committed. That's a great sign for them. He's out of Steele High School, just outside of San Antonio, big-time program, and he's a top running back. He could play a lot of spots, actually. He could be a safety or linebacker, too, if he wanted to be. But he's a really good recruit. But they're not getting many kids from in-state. I've talked about this on Locked On Aggies as a guest on that show, and I've talked about it a little bit in general here. A&M they're getting California kids. They're getting kids from other states. But why aren't they getting more Texas kids early? It's just an open-ended question. I'm surprised by it. And when I say getting Texas kids, I'm not just talking about low-end three-star guys like some of the top guys. Maybe Hatton's the first of several. But I'm a little concerned about that because it shouldn't be that hard to recruit to A&M with their oil money and with all their facilities. It really shouldn't. And they've got a good, again, kind of like with Ole Miss, they've got a really good staff for recruiting. So I'm surprised by it. One guy I believe they have committed in Texas, but if they're not at 4 or 5 guys right now, it's kind of disappointing that they're nowhere near that. Does A&M need to concentrate more on the in-state prospects? That's an open-ended question. Somebody wants to fire away on that. Comment on YouTube. I'm curious to hear what you have to say. But the Aggies, they get a really good player in Hatton, but are they trending in the right direction overall with their recruiting? Because they need to get the kids in state. And if they don't get them, there's a certain school in Austin. There's a pretty good chance they're going to get them. Not only do you lose the player, but you got to play against them with your arch rival. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in and talking about all the things going on in recruiting, NIL, and the transfer portal. Please hit that like button, notification bell, and subscribe and share this podcast. We will see you again very soon here on the Portal Podcast.